Hi, welcome to the Dairy Hour podcast, where rural charm meets personal growth. Join us as we milk every moment for wisdom, self-improvement, and mental wellness. I'm your host, Val Lavigne, a rural dairy farming mom with a passion for filling hearts while never forgetting to fill my own cup. Get ready for insightful conversations, empowering tips, and a splash of fun and laughs, of course. Let's cultivate growth, nourish our minds, and embrace the journey together. This is the Dairy Hour podcast, where every episode is a breath of fresh air and the inspiration you need to be your best self. As a busy mom and dairy farmer, I'm always looking for ways to support my family's health as well as my own, and I absolutely love Wonder Cow Colostrum. It's packed with essential nutrients, great for supporting gut health, boosts immunity, and promotes overall wellness. Whether it's for me, my kids, or anyone looking to stay strong and healthy, Wonder Cow is my go-to daily supplement. I have been taking it for a year now, and it is irreplaceable in my daily routine. If you want to experience the amazing benefits of colostrum too, you can use my special code, DairyGalVal, at checkout for a discount. Give Wonder Cow a try, and you will definitely feel the difference. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Dairy Hour podcast. I am your host, Val Lavigne. Welcome today to Rachel Buford. How are you, Rachel?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here and chat with you about all the fun stuff that we're going to have today.
All the things. We're here for all the things. Yes, definitely. So for those who don't know you, do you want to give us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is Rachel Buford, and I am a fifth generation farmer and rancher. I live in Northwest Oklahoma, and today we're getting rain, so that's a beautiful blessing. And I also work in corporate healthcare, so I kind of am best of both worlds. I joke I get to work from the farm, but work in corporate healthcare, and then also be on the ranch every single day.
Awesome. Ranch life. I'm here for it. And working from home is also not a bad thing.
It
makes life much easier.
Yes, it does.
So tell us a little bit about your ranch.
Absolutely. So we have transitioned this past 2 years to stocker calves, but I grew up on a cow-calf operation. My great-grandparents started it, and actually their parents lived across the road from where I live right now. So in the last 100 years, there has been a Buford or a McGinnis, depending on whose side of the family you're looking at, in this 2-mile quarter section. And so it's been such a blessing to be here and move back to the farm and get to enjoy this and really live out that legacy. And so I live next door to my parents, and we're about 300 yards away, which is an interesting dynamic.
I feel that because I too live right on our farm. Parents are, very, very close as well. So it's handy, especially when you have kids running around, but it's like definitely interesting because you don't necessarily have your personal bubble per se.
Yes.
Am I right?
Absolutely. I had been gone for 10 years. So I went to college. I did all the school I think a gal can do. I moved to Texas. And then my fiance and I decided, you know what? It's time to move back to the farm. And that autonomy has changed significantly from when we lived an hour away and saw dad on the weekends, or when we came out to move cattle or work them. And now dad drives up my driveway and he says, "Where are you?" Because my car isn't in the driveway. So
where did you go without telling me? What's going on?
I said, there's nothing like going home and being 30, but then being 13 again, because everything has a curfew again. And it's very comical. And we are all learning boundaries and healthy boundaries, and being able to navigate that has been fun and interesting.
100% on that one. Whereabouts in Oklahoma are you? You don't have to obviously give me an exact location, but if you're looking at Oklahoma, whereabouts are you? I'm not super familiar with the state.
We're northwest, kind of central. So our biggest town, it would be Enid. And so we're about 40 minutes from Enid, just in the kind of middle of nowhere. So we have a few little towns around us. I grew up and went to high school and graduated with 77 people. My dryer went off. From home. Clothes are done. Yes. And so I grew up with 77 people. The town next to us graduated 10. So, I mean, we're pretty small in this area if you don't get to Oklahoma City or to Enid. And it's been fantastic to learn that. But as well, I moved to New Braunfels, Texas, and it's huge. It's in between Austin and San Antonio. And so having that perspective shift of understanding living in a large community comparative to the farm There's a reason we're home.
There's no place like home sometimes, especially when, you were born and raised there,
Yes.
correct?
I was
So,
in Kansas City for just a little bit. And so at 9,
okay.
I moved to the farm with my dad. And so that transition, I mean, I had grown up so they call it Joco, which is Johnson County, and it's the richest county in Missouri or Kansas City, Missouri area. And so there was a lot, was introduced to a lot of city. And then I moved to the middle of nowhere. And so that perspective was a huge, I don't want to say wake up call because I was 9. So I didn't quite know then
Yeah.
all the differences. But then as I was growing up and I went to college and being able to have different conversations with different people who were on the other side of agriculture, I was able to kind of piece that together of understanding growing up in the city comparative to growing up on the farm.
That's awesome. And I'm sure that was a huge culture shock. I mean, just knowing, I have 2 9-year-olds and I can't imagine like living in one environment and then moving them to a completely different environment. They would be like complete culture shock. And that's, I even get that sometimes they complain about living on the farm or whatever and how, we always have to do this and that, every other thing. And I'm like, you have no idea. Like, you live your best life here on the farm and you get to kind of roam free. You live in like a neighborhood or, suburban, urban areas. You're not roaming free because someone's going to pick you up and take you away. We don't need to do that. But here in our own little bubble, we're pretty safe and protected. And that's something that I enjoy. So I love that. So when you were 9, you moved back with your dad to the ranch.
Yes, ma'am.
And, how did you adjust as a kid to ranch life and being a part of it?
So I think this is really where my journey of talking about farm girl walks of what I do now, and healthcare of what I do has sprouted. And that's where the roots were. So the reason I moved to the farm is my mom had passed away. So I had grown up in a hospital. My mom had had cancer. And so I grew up in KU Medical Center. I knew my nurses and I knew my doctors. And so I had this love of healthcare. And they prolonged my mom's life. And so I got to have this relationship that was a positive relationship with healthcare. And so then I moved to the farm. And so as we talk about healthcare on farms, we know that if you don't have a bone sticking all the way out, or your arm is not where we can't put some duct tape or super glue on it, we're not going to the doctor. And so that was a very polar opposite for me because I had grown up in this system and I had understood the importance of it. And then I moved to a farm where if it's not broke, we don't fix it kind of thing. And our family motto is it'll feel better when it quits hurting, which is great, except for there is so much of this invisible health neglect that occurs in rural communities and also with the mental health. And so my parents did the absolute best they could with the tools that they had and understood. And as an adult, I'm so thankful that I have gone through all the therapy and been able to understand that. But as a little girl whose mom had just passed away, we didn't get me into any counseling. And there was a lot of trauma from the years of illness from my mother that I just didn't really work through. There was a lot of abandonment of her going to the hospital, not knowing if she was going to live after a surgery, and all of these things that had built so much into how my brain worked and processed. And so I had a lot of fear from as a young child. If somebody were to drive out and go somewhere, I'm like, are they going to die? And so that was my first processing, which is very unhealthy. So
yeah, that's so terrible for a little girl to have to go through.
And so we were able, I learned this as an adult of why were my relationships weird? I didn't have really great dating history all through college. And so really working that out and what did that look like and why was my brain protecting me and making the choices that it was making? And so I went to a lot of intensive therapy. I've done EDMR, EDMS, and then just different talk therapies to ensure that I was taking care of my brain and really working through some of that stuff. But then as I have done this intensive therapy and talked through it and worked with children from child abuse and sexual abuse and stuff, I started learning that people in the rural community didn't understand what I was talking about. And sometimes had a really hard time conceptualizing the conversations I was having. And so that's when I started talking about it more and more. And so that was kind of how my platform started. I was doing 75 hard and walking through a pasture every day anyways, because that is how I move my body when you're in the middle of nowhere, and started just taking a video, talking about me seeing my cows. And I had known that when I lived in a community, I had gym girls that I worked out with. I loved hot yoga. I had girls that I could just go walk the dog with. And when I was in the pasture, I was with my dog and my animals and my cows. And so, I mean, yes, they're great. And if they start talking back to you, we definitely need to talk about mental health.
You really need some therapy. Yeah.
And we really need to work through some stuff. But I was like, man, I'm really missing this community. So I started just sharing because I'm like, there's got to be somebody else out here that is taking care of their health and doing this and also missing humans. And so I started sharing about just walking. And then I was like, well, what does walking do for you? And so I started talking about mental health and I started talking about heart health. And then it's just kind of grown. And it's been something I love to do, that I get to step away from my corporate healthcare where I work with value-based care in rural communities and really making sure that our hospitals stay open and really valuing that, to also taking it to that level of where do my family members and my communities and the women and men in rural communities need to hear this conversation, where it's not coming from somebody with an MD or a DO that they feel that they can trust and communicate with, and that I'm not selling them anything. I'm just saying, let's move our bodies and talk about why it's important.
Yeah. And I completely agree with you on the whole crisis that is people in rural and farming communities not taking care of themselves. Like, unless my arm is hanging off, I'm not going to the hospital. Unless, I literally can't walk, I'm not going to get fixed, or just anything. That's something. I had pneumonia a few years back, and it really, for a girl in my early 30s, it really knocked the crap out of me, for lack of better terms. And not only did it knock the crap out of me, like a month and a half later, I got pneumonia again. So it kind of woke me up to the fact of like, okay, obviously I missed something. Obviously something's going on. I need to be the best that I can be for my kids, for my husband, for my family, and for the farm around me. And so that's kind of where I had that awakening of, hey, I need to get myself in better shape. I need to take better care of myself. I need to focus on what's going into my body and, what kind of exercise my body's doing, whether I'm doing things. I mean, sure, you're on the farm and you're strong and you're lifting things, but are you lifting them the right way? Are you lifting them a way that's not going to really, bite you in the butt on, a few years down the road when you've been straining your back, lifting completely wrong forever? And that's, when I found which I'm lucky enough to obviously go to a gym that's a really great community that's only 20 minutes away, but just how much that mindset of taking care of myself and learning how to do things the right way, it's changed, the way that I look at things. It's changed the way that I do things. And it's changed my energy levels, and it's fantastic. I mean, I enjoy being able to take care of myself, and I've already, there's little things that have come up, and instead of just being like, it's fine, you take care of them and then you just keep going. It's absolutely amazing. Like when I started working out and I found out that I have, and I'm probably going to butcher this name because I can't ever say it, a diastasis recti of my abdomen from having twins.
So where
I figured out, yes, between my abs, like split. Yes. And it was almost bad enough to need surgery, but they recommended me to a physical therapist, and I went and we managed to get it to start healing itself. But even after a few months of going to physical therapy and figuring it out, I stayed going to physical therapy, because now that we're starting to put pieces together, I've never been a flexible person. So now we're working on like opening up my rib cage and like making it so that my body works better and connect, like plugging all the little outlets together so that things work harmoniously instead of like fighting against each other, which is what my body has always been trained to do. So if you're listening to this, take care of yourself. If something hurts, there's a reason it hurts. Fix it, because it's better to take the time now to fix it and, be good to go than wait until it's kind of like a car. When your check engine light comes on, don't wait till you're stranded on the side of the road. Fix it and carry on with your life. How's that? How's that for a comparison?
It's one that we can all relate to. I mean, we all have vehicles and tractors and stuff. And so we know, and that's, we talk about this as a rural perspective, as we take better care of our livestock day in and day out than we do of ourselves. And so, I mean, we have
100%.
a calf back here in a pen, and his name is Buddy. His name is currently Buddy because I have named him. And, he was sick, and I, got in there and I got all the eye gunk out, and I was digging in his nose, getting that out. And we feed him cubes every day, and I go talk to him, and I hang out with them, and they're herd animals. So they want to be around people, or they want to be around their other friends. And so we really keep that up for them when they're sick like that in the pens behind our house, because it's convenient. But when I think about that, I'm like, man, when my dad's sick, I think he's still doing things that he shouldn't even be doing. Like, we're making Buddy rest and we're giving him the medication that he needs. My dad's like, it'll feel better when it quits hurting. Like, but it doesn't always work that way. You need assistance. Your body all is connected. So what is going on with it, and how can we support it one way or the other to help you get better, instead of just kind of continuing to tear it down piece by piece, whether you realize that it's an integral piece or not, it all are connected when you look at your nervous system and your exoskeleton system.
Definitely. The more that I dive into it and the more that I'm in on this journey, the more that I'm like, yep, that's why, because it's all connected. Like, it is amazing. And you never think of it that way. Maybe just being young and stupid, I don't know, or just pig-headed, whatever you want to call it. But it is so crazy how connected everything all is. So I love it. So, growing up on the ranch, you decided, I'm guessing, to get into healthcare because of what you went through with your mom.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you went off to college.
Yes.
Okay. And then, tell us a little bit about your adventure.
Yes. I have an undergrad in child and family services and social work, but I knew the whole time I was doing this, I said, it's just not what I want to do. I had actually worked at a child advocacy center, and I recognized then that there was a disproportional amount of individuals from rural communities coming into our child advocacy center. And I'm not sure if we know what that is. It's where children come to talk about abuse, whether it's physical, sexual, or emotional. If they have been reported to DHS, they go to a safe place. It's called a child advocacy center. And there they have trained professionals that can do exams, interviewing, all of that good stuff to help support your DHS worker. And I could see the disproportional amount of rural community families coming in and not having understanding of the mental health aspect of what was going on with these children. And there was a lot of conversations of, well, I went through that, so we're okay, because there was never any intervention for that mother or that grandmother. And so it had been generational. And so these kids are now facing this, and there's not that family dynamic. So that was a mental health conversation. And I was like, I can't live in this for the rest of my life, but it's important that we talk about it. Mm-hmm. So I got my degree. I have a master's degree in public health, and it's in rural services. And so I knew I want to serve rural communities, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it. And so I actually worked for Oklahoma State Extension for a little while. And so I used that public health degree. And as a transitional period, I worked for a clinic. And so at that clinic, I was like, this is it. I love working with my rural communities. I love my patients, but we're missing that gap between public health and healthcare. And what was that? And so that's when I went back for my doctoral degree in healthcare admin. And so I'm not clinical, and I joke that I'm not clinical on purpose. I don't want to be clinical because I have incredible friends who are. And I'm like, I'm going to point to you when we need to treat. But really, that connection between healthcare in rural communities and healthcare, or in the public health with our communities and the people wise. And what does that look like? And not just, okay, we need to go in and do X, Y, and Z. What does it look like to take care of our health? How are we talking about heart health? So in February, I talked about Heart Health Month, the whole month, and discussing, what does moving do? And so that was such a different perspective than a healthcare admin, and their punch and numbers, which they're so important and I love them, but really being that gap, bridge for that gap.
Awesome. And so you jumped right in, and then you went to Texas after you graduated?
So I lived in Texas. That's where I did my healthcare when I worked in my clinic. And so then, and I'd started my doctoral degree. So it took me, I think, 5 years to finish my doctoral degree. A little longer than I wanted it to, but I got all 3 of my degrees from Oklahoma State, forever go Pokes. And I live an hour from Stillwater, which is where Oklahoma State's at. And so that's where I'd grown up, been a part of. It's our ag college in the state of Oklahoma and such an integral part of the agricultural community here. And so then I lived in Texas for about 2 years and then wanted to be closer to home. I was missing my God baby's dance recitals and graduations and things that for me were important to be at. So I moved home.
And you picked up a fiance along the way.
I did. I picked up a fiance and he has just been thrown right into this hot mess express. Bless his heart. And I don't say that in a negative way like some Southerners. Truly, we pray for him. I am the baby of the family and my dad is the oldest of the family. And so I have 5 older sisters. We're a pretty eclectic family. And so everyone has their own personality. That is for sure.
That's a lot of personalities.
And they're all girls. There's 6 girls between all the family, all the marriages. There is 6 girls. So I joke that I am my dad's boy. And it's never good because we have the same personality and he shoots it at me and I shoot it right back. And he's not used to that. He expects a little more softness and I'm pretty rough sometimes. Nope. There's not gentle here. No, if
you say that, and that's kind of how I am as well. Back to my dad, I give it right back to him, and then he's like, gets mad because I gave it back to him. I'm like, well, you gave it to me, I'm giving it back.
Yep, don't dish it out if you can't take it back. That's what I tell Dad all the time. We tease about that. So yes, I picked up a fiance in the way, and I said, which we had joked about my dating history earlier. I sucked at dating because I was trying to date agriculture boys who all had farms, but then I was moving back to my farm. We always knew I was. So it was never working out. And so Hunter, my fiance, was a livestock judger. He grew up on a farm. It was a pretty small farm and his parents got out of it. And so he has loved it his whole life. And that's what he did in college. And so then when we met, I was like, so fun fact, I moved back to the farm, take it or leave it, buddy. It was really early on. And he started laughing. He was like,
I'm just going to put this out there. Hang on. Yep. If this is going to work, this is what's going on. If it's not, then there's the door. Or like, see you later.
Very early. I said, we have 1 year of dating, and then we're moving to the farm. And he was like, I like it, straight to the point. Like, that's what we got. I'm like, we don't have time to mess around. I'm 30, guys. We're making choices. And so then we did. And thankfully, he is fantastic. Him and my dad work fantastic together. And Hunter and I both have the same dreams of moving to really build our operation and continue this legacy and really start our own cow-calf operation because Dad is more in the stockers right now. But what does it look like for my Centennial Farm to continue another 100 years? And that's something that I don't take lightly. It's so special to me. And to find somebody who also values hard work and the legacy and everything that comes with being on a farm. And so like you guys all know, it's not easy. And some years are really great. Like this year, cattle prices are so high. And so it's like you do what you do this year and we hope next year's better.
Just got to keep riding the train till it stops. And then you just hold on for dear life and pray it starts again.
Yep. Yes. It is definitely riding the wave for sure.
Not for the faint of heart, but here we are. We're doing the thing.
No, not for the faint of heart.
No. And so how has your family, around you? I know you said that you struggle with getting your dad to like slow down when he's not feeling well, things like that. How has your family around you reacted to kind of your mission and trying to get people to take better care of themselves, obviously before an arm is completely hanging off or whatever? How does that go over?
I will say they have been my hardest critics through all of it. I worked for a doctor in college and she was an internist and her favorite thing was to say she loved oils and stuff like that, but she can't heal a gunshot wound with lavender oil. And so that has kind of been my mantra forever of like, I can't fix everything. And that's why God gave us modern medicine. But how do we balance that? And so from conversations, my dad actually doesn't have his own Facebook. He uses my Facebook for Marketplace. So anytime, I know, bless him.
This reminds me of my husband. My husband does not have his own Facebook and he gets on my Facebook. And half the time he's telling me what he saw on my Facebook. And I'm like, seriously? And he's like, well, I don't want my own Facebook. I was like, yeah, well,
put you on mine.
Yeah, but he does. And like, he gets a new phone and he's like, here, it's not logged in. Log it in for me. And I'm like, super.
Yeah.
What a guy. Here, let
It's
to
so
log
fun.
into my Facebook on your phone.
Yes. My dad actually Facebook marketplace messengers people. And so then like his responses don't mirror a 31-year-old woman. And it like people have reported me thinking that I'm a scammer because they just don't mirror each other. And it's comical. And like I've had people call and I answer and they're like, is this Robert? I'm like, no, it's his daughter. I'm so sorry. Let me give you his number.
I get people that Google our farm, that want to do business with my dad, and my number shows up instead of his.
Yep.
And they'll call me and they get so bent out of shape when I'm like, well, this isn't him. Well, can I speak with him? I'm like, you can call his phone number. Like, we're not attached at the hip. I'm not with him.
My dad
Nor
was
am I
like,
being a messenger. Just call him yourself.
yes, here, I'll give you his number. I am not his secretary. He would like me to be, but I am not.
Yeah,
But-
there's no keeping track of my dad.
So dad watches my stories. He's figured out how to click it and watch the stories. So I will get a text like, hey, I saw you did your walk today. I'm like, yes, I have done my walk already. And so that has been my dad's form of like joining the conversation of what we're talking about heart health and what it looks like and just different conversations. And so the day that I knew that it clicked somewhere is I talk a lot about just consuming whole foods. I don't have to say, who makes this, where at. It's like, what whole food are we consuming today? Vegetable, like, meat, eggs. And I talked about that. And so dad's like, well, he used the phrase whole food. And I was like, I made progress.
Look at that new term he's got going on.
Oh, I will say my biggest win was when my fiance used the word neuropathway correctly in a sentence. I said, we are moving up. I think I've used it.
My work here is done. Thank you.
And he was used it at work in the correct sentence. And I was so proud of him. I said, you're going to teach everybody. He's like, I think I did it right. I was like, you did. So we're talking about neuropathways a lot. I love to read different books about stuff and really pull that knowledge and then apply it to rural healthcare because some of those books are textbooks. And I'm like, I got to go back and read that chapter 3 times before I really tease out what I need to. But
definitely
for family, I feel like they have been my hardest critics. And I think that's good for me though, because they are my typical demographic. When I'm thinking of who I want to see my stuff, I realized that I thought when I started talking about it that I would have other 35-year-old women, moms, younger. I had more of my older population, my parents' age, or even a little older, reach out to me and say, oh my gosh, that's such great knowledge. I'm going to start walking on my treadmill because I have one. Or, you know what? I walked to the gate today and got the mail because you said every step matters. And this is my friend's grandma, and she lives in the middle of nowhere. And so she walked to the mailbox because I was talking about how bone density is important and things like that. And I was like, this was not my targeted demographic, but this is awesome. So really recognizing that it doesn't have to be a small niche was very interesting to me, but going, how do I get this message to my dad and my stepmom?
Mm-hmm.
Then that is when I feel like, okay, I'm really getting that message out there and people are able to absorb it and understand it as well. Because sometimes I just talk so high and I don't even know what the heck I'm talking about.
But I just love when people reach out to you. It's like the best feeling when some days you wonder, like, am I actually making a difference? And then you have someone that reaches out to you and they say, oh, I did this today because, you said X, Y, Z. And you're like, yeah, that's awesome. I did something. I influenced somebody to do something. Like, that's amazing. Because I had someone, I've known her for a long time in my local community. And, I was talking about whole milk and how it's only 3.5% fat. It's not 100% fat like some people think it is, that would be terrible, like 100% fat. But anywho, and she was like, I've always loved the taste of whole milk, but I always just thought like, oh my gosh, it's just got so much fat in it. And then when you explained it's only 3.5% fat as opposed to the 1 or 2% I was buying, she's like, well, that's not that big of difference. And she goes, and now I want to drink more milk because like it tastes so much better. And I was like, yay, okay, perfect. And I just love little things like that. Just like your friend's grandma, like, oh, I'm going to walk just because it's almost like that reminder, like, hey, give yourself permission to do this, or you can do this, believe in yourself, you can make a difference. And it's such a cool thing to see it come to fruition. And especially, like you said, you started just talking to people because you were out on a walk and if you're like me, your brain never stops. So you're like, oh, well, I'm going to just use some stuff out here and see what throw it at the wall, see what sticks and go from there.
Yeah.
And now you're making a difference in people's lives. And that's amazing.
And it's been fun. I think that where I have enjoyed the most out of this is I've had fun with it. And I love my corporate job. But when we talk about corporate, you know, you clock in, you do your stuff, you stare at a screen all day, you clock out. So, and I am making a difference in that, but it's just somebody else's difference. And so being able to talk to this, I am seeing people that I care about, people in Canada going, hey, I'm not alone walking in sub-degree cold weather. I was over here complaining about stuff. And then I'm like, that's nothing on you. But seeing that community and making that difference of just connection when you are 45 minutes from friends is a huge part, because we are not meant to be alone. We are not meant to do this life by ourselves, whether that is via FaceTime, podcasts, any of that, or just going, oh my gosh, this person is doing it too. That gives you more motivation, but also to not feel so alone. Mental health in our rural communities, people feel so alone very often. And so
they do. And it's sad that, you know, it's sad how people can, you know, be so connected via these stupid little things that we hold in our hands all the time, but people still are so locked out and alone and don't have people to talk to. And it's sad. And if you need someone to talk to, find someone to talk to, or talk to me, or talk to Rachel, or talk to somebody. Don't pull it up inside and just, we care about you. Talk to somebody. We got this. So awesome. Rachel, is there anything else you want to touch on before we slide into some fun rapid fire questions?
No, I think I will say it's just important that health is a full body experience. It's not just walking. It's not just lifting weights. It's not just eating whole foods. It's not just being connected. It's a little bit of everything every day. And so if you are making that step to walk to the mailbox and you're like, it's not making a difference, it does. Every step matters. And so this week it may be walking to the mailbox. Next week, you may walk to the mailbox twice to get that step in. Really starting to value your body and understand that we really get one vessel here. And so how do we take care of that and love that? Because after we have damaged it, we can't always get it back.
100%. I'm right there with you. I feel that. And doing what you can with what you have is important. And getting yourself taken care of so that you can do these things. There's always another way. Find another way. I've been watching Moana 2 too much. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
So good.
My kids have watched it about 800 times. And there's the one girl and she sings, there's always another way, Moana. And just remember that. If you can't do something, there's always another way.
There's always another way.
Oh, I love it. There is. And they're going to be so proud of me when they hear that Moana 2 in the podcast. They're going to love it. It's pretty much ingrained in my brain at this point. So here we are.
They're going to go, oh my gosh, they know the song too. I mean, it is playing in their head already. And they're like, thank you. They feel seen. I know I do. And I don't even have kids.
And now my kids speak fluent Polynesian from all the songs because Disney Plus has the subtitles for all the songs. So they can like read the words that they don't even know what they're singing and they're singing away. And I'm like, okay. Oh, it's something. Yeah. It lives rent free in my head and I don't know when it'll ever leave. So, you know. Just like Frozen 2, that lived rent free in my head, and I don't know when it'll ever leave. Adult songs, who needs them? Disney, let's go.
Yes, absolutely. They know.
They know. Yes. So outside of, you know, work, what's your favorite hobby?
I love audiobooks. I used to love to read and I still love reading, but we never sit down. We're always doing something. And so I love audiobooks and Oklahoma State football.
There's two things in life you need, audiobooks and football. And you just listen to the audiobook on your way to the football game and life is good.
It's fantastic. Yes, I'm addicted to them. Both of them.
I used to be big into audiobooks when I was on the road a lot more. And now that I'm not, it comes in fits and spurts. So now I just podcast. I listen to podcasts all the time. And I think that it's also good because it's like, it's the voices in my head. And I have my head is having conversations with said podcasts and I'm like talking along with them. And I'm like, okay, this is getting a little creepy, but it's.
I tell him,
gosh,
friends, and you don't even know it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm like, I interviewed Emily Shaw Chapman, Dairy Girl Fitness recently. And I was like, we've only met like twice, but I feel like I know you very well. It's fine. It's all fine.
I know what's going on in your life. We're best friends.
Yeah, we know. Yes, we're besties and you don't even know it. It's not creepy at all. It's fine. Because I have to ask this one. I ask this one frequently. Go to ice cream flavor.
Vanilla gal. I am so just simple, but I love caramel, chocolate, nuts, all of that on top of it, but I just want vanilla ice cream.
Dress it up however you like it.
Yes.
It's awesome. And vanilla is the most popular ice cream flavor, so you're not alone. It's good. Sometimes I like, if I'm getting toppings on it, I like straight vanilla. If I'm not doing toppings, then I like a little something different. So it's not too far out of the box.
If I had to pick a flavor, it'd be better Brahms. Very specific.
There you go. Yeah, very specific. There's ice cream flavors and you don't mess with them. So what is your favorite season?
Fall, because I love fall baby calves and football. It's ridiculous. We are a football family.
The obsession is real.
It is, unfortunately, but we really love college football. We watch NFL, but not as much. We are a college football family through and through. We know when Oklahoma State's playing, where they're at, but also where other schools are. We follow the brackets more than I feel like is sometimes appropriate. But it is
gotta have your thing, okay?
Thing. And when you live in the middle of nowhere, you can turn on the TV when you're in the shop and everything is good.
Follow rodeo. Maybe not quite that obsessively, but pretty. I follow it more than I follow anything else. So yeah. I get it. Got to know who's doing what, where they're at, all the things. Cats or dogs?
We are dog household.
We're a dog house.
Yes. I have a barn cat who is no longer a barn cat and he lives inside and outside and he is in charge, but I don't want any more cats. I would have every dog in the county hanging out, but we have one cat and he's fixed. So he can't make more cats.
And he knows he's the boss.
Yes, he does.
So it's funny that you bring up the fixing story because we have some barn cats and I have a couple that are like out in my horse barn area and goat area. And they're like my couple cats. And there's this one that had been born and her mom had taken her away when she was born. So I couldn't make her friendly. So I've been working. And mine are spoiled. They get like canned food sometimes as a treat and, very well taken care of kitties. Well, I've been working my butt off because I wanted to get her fixed, obviously. And once I got her in a live trap, this was like almost a year ago, probably, got her in a live trap and silly me felt guilty. So I was like, oh, I'll put you into this, other cat carrier so that you're not stuck in a live trap. Well, didn't this wacko get out? And then she was like, shame on you. I'm not falling for that trick again. I'm not going back in that live trap. You're not catching me. You're not touching me. Nothing's happening. So I've spent months of my life making this cat, and we call her name is Wild Black Kitty because she's wild and she's a black kitty. So Wild Black Kitty it is.
That's her name.
I've spent months. I pet the kitties that are next to her while they're eating. And then I reach over and I touch her and she'd run away. And then it got so that I could pet her like twice and then she'd run away. And we're just really getting comfortable. Like I was even getting little scratches in. Life was good. Well, my mom had a couple cats over near her house that need to get fixed as well. So we've had some like outstanding appointments to try to just live trap some and get them fixed. And last night, Wild Black Kitty and a couple others came in. It's like, oh, okay. So I had a live trap right there. So I opened it up, stuck it up on end, had it open because I knew if I tried to grab this sucker, crap was going down. So I had it open, but it was like upright so I could kind of dump her in and not have to bend over and try to shove her in. So I'm scratching her, petting her, and she's letting me. And I was like, all right. Took a deep breath, and I snagged her. And I quick turned around, and before she could bite me or scratch me, I only got one little scratch. Before she could do too much, I shoved her into the live trap and shut the door. A heartbreak. My poor heart. She turned and she looked at me and was like, you traitor. And my poor heart broke because I was yowling, and I'm like sitting there, I'm like, why am I about ready to cry? Like, it's fine. You're going to be fine. You're going to get fixed. And then you're going to be loose again. And you're never going to let me touch you again, ever. But you're going to be fixed. And it's going to be fine.
Ruined them now.
I ruined our trust. But it wasn't even the look of like hatred. It was just that heartbreaking, like, you betrayed me. I trusted you. And I let you pet me. And you grabbed me and shoved me in a cage. What the heck? Sure enough, I go out this morning and we could have wrote a heartbreaking story about it. Betrayal in the horse barn. Like the darn cat. And I walked out this morning and I said, kitty, kitty. And she looked up at me and she gave me a yowl. And I was like, I am so sorry. I was like, tomorrow you will be free again. You're just gonna be a little sore for a couple days. That's all.
Yeah.
But
It's what's best for you.
needless to say, girl was
promise.
seriously. She was going so hard at the door to the live trap. I had to zip tie it shut though, because I'm like, this cat is literally gonna bust out of here. I was like, yeah, we're gonna zip tie that.
My
And
God.
the vets, before they unzip tie it, better make sure she's out for the count. So
You better
yeah,
dose her while she's in the live trap, because after that.
they will. And that's the vet said he prefers, if they're wild, he prefers them to be in the live trap because they can get them through the cage so that they don't risk getting loose and they don't risk getting attacked.
Yeah.
So
having them in the cat carrier.
yep. And then they wake back up in the live trap. So
they're like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, smart.
I'm a traitor today and I'm feeling real guilty for it, just in case anyone was wondering. By the time this comes out, she'll have already, well, she will not have forgotten about it, but she'll be loose and on the mend, thankfully. There will be no more wild black baby kitties. So away they go. Anywho, after that sidetrack, back to a couple more rapid fire questions for fun. Let's see. Are you a sweet or savory person?
A savory person. I would like my sweet and savory mixed. So like Cheez-Its with caramel ice cream is so good. Such a strange thing.
Caramel ice cream? What kind of Oklahoma thing is that?
I actually learned it when I went on a youth trip to like Florida. And somebody down there did it. And so I brought it home. And it's like when you have a really salty Cheez-It and you dip it in your ice cream.
Interesting.
Strange thing. Yes, that sweet and salty is my perfect mix.
Okay. Have you ever had the popcorn that is cheddar popcorn and caramel popcorn mixed together?
It's fantastic. So good.
Yes.
Cheddar and caramel popcorn. Cheddar and caramel.
But at least the texture is the same. It's
That's
the texture difference between a Cheez-It and ice cream that I can't get over. That's like people that dip their French fries in ice cream. I'm just not. I don't know.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
Extra salty fries.
Interesting. Maybe I'll have to try it someday. I don't know. We'll see.
They gotta be extra salty and very crispy fries. If they're mushy, like real thick fries, it doesn't work well. If you have like a skinny, crispy fry, they're perfect.
Noted. I'll have to see what I can do.
Very specific ratio there.
Oh, Lordy. Sorry. I'm just thinking of like French fries and ice cream now. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I can do it. I need to try it. Get to try everything. Sorry. I'm going through my list, trying to find good stuff that I want to ask. Where is the best place you have ever visited?
Best place I've ever visited? Ireland. I loved Ireland. And we went and saw the sheepdogs and went through all the farming communities. And ag girl geeked out so hard. I could not they were laughing at me because I was obsessed with it, but also just to see such history and what that looked like. And it was the most beautiful, just like green vastness ever. And to think of how unimportant we are in this like very day and age.
Yeah.
In 1,000 years, they're not going to care what we did, but they're going to care of like, look at how they built this stuff. Did it last? What are these houses? What was their community? And, things like that. And I was like, it was very cool and humbling, but also like, wow, like what difference do you want to make right now?
Yes. Yeah, Ireland is beautiful. It's definitely, I would love to go back someday. It's been a while since I've been there. Coming up on 20 years. Oh my gosh. I'm old. I have to feel so old all the time now. I'm gonna not date myself anymore. Stop doing that.
Dating it.
And your bucket list place to visit. If someone said, here, you can go on whatever trip you want. Here's an unlimited amount of money. Where are you going?
Well, I have two.
Two. Okay.
I want to go to Antarctica so bad. There is a cruise ship that goes and you go through the Drake Pass and it's either Drake Lake or they call it something else. And it's like crazy.
So that's my TikTok feed gets on that frequently. And you gotta have the song that goes with it though. It's that specific, the song. Yep. Okay.
Love that.
I don't know if I would take you up on the Drake Passage.
I would love it.
It makes me want to puke just thinking about it.
Yes. Lots of Dramamine. That's all I could think. But
a lot. A whole bottle.
So cool. But also Australia. I want to do Australia and New Zealand that together just for the agricultural portion of it. Like go and see the opera and things like that. But then really to see how awesome. Because Courtney D. Hoff does a lot of her stuff and from her adventures, I'm like, that's it. That's my one I want to go to.
Well, there you go. You go there on your way to or from Antarctica and
Pop over.
Just one big trip. Yeah, there's a little boat ride. It's fine.
That's fine.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I think that's the first time that's ever been the wish list that I've asked. Usually it's somewheres in Europe. So that's fun.
Very random things.
I'd be all into it for the penguins. Penguins are adorable.
I want to see the massive icebergs. Like, I think they're so cool. And when you think of like the date range and just all the stuff that the scientists can pull out of like what an iceberg has been around for, I'm a nerd. This is just how I live.
I love it. But it would be so fascinating. It's getting there that would be my issue, I think.
Yeah.
That's a whole thing right there, but definitely go for it. I want to see pictures when you go. That's it. Tell your fiance. No, tell your fiance, honeymoon, Antarctica, let's go.
Yeah, and he would be out. He's not a cruise ship person, and I'm really not either. I just I would do it for this one. I'm like, all right, we're going on a cruise ship to do this.
We're doing it, whether we want to or not. Just lock yourself in your room on lots of medicine to keep yourself sane and
date yourself, and we'll get there.
Yes, lots of sedation needed. Gosh, yeah, I can't even imagine. So I love to ask a deeper thought question to my guest, and this was left by a previous guest, not knowing who it was for. What is one thing that you attribute to being really crucial to your success?
I think one thing that I truly attribute to my success is being able to navigate traumatic events and use them for me, not against me. Life is hard, and everybody's life is hard. No one gets out of here unscathed. And so being able to utilize that and think, how is the world doing this for me? And how can I use this for the world rather than taking it personal and saying it's against me has really changed my mindset and allowed me to achieve and be successful in many areas of my life, not just being able to dwell on the really negative things that have occurred. But how can I make a difference utilizing those?
Very well said. Very well said. Don't know what else to say to that.
Thank you.
That was fantastic. And what is the quote that you brought today that drives you to be the best that you can be, or inspires you to do big things?
The one that I think about it all the time is that you don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. As rural women, we are the backbone of our homes and our communities. But when we burn out, it's not proving anything to anybody. And you aren't able to keep your family and your community warm when you're burnt out. And so really, what does it look like to feed your flame from internal?
Awesome. You're coming in hot with these answers. I love it. Knocked them out of the park. You did. Rachel, I've had so much fun chatting with you. Where can people follow along? I don't know what word that was. Follow along on your journey.
Yes. So my Instagram handle is just Rachel Lynn Buford. If you type in Farm Girl Walks, it will find me as well. I hashtag a lot of it Farm Girl Walks. And I'm on there, I would say daily. Hopefully when this comes out, I am back on daily. Wedding planning has taken over my whole life. And so join me as I walk and talk about health and share your journey alongside of me. I know that there are women across the US and other countries who are also trying to prioritize their health, their heart health, their mental health, in this community.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend, tag me on social media, tag Rachel on social media, and be sure to give her a follow. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us today, Rachel, and we will talk to you all next week.
Thank you.
Hey, Dairy Hour listeners, if you're enjoying this show, leaving a review is the best way to help us grow and reach more people. Plus, I've got a little thank you for you. Snap a screenshot of your review, message it to me at Dairy Gal Val, and I will be sure to send some fun Dairy Hour stickers your way. Thanks for supporting the podcast, and I cannot wait to mail you some swag.